Remember Albedo? Yeah, surely he's the last person you'd ever feel sorry for, right? Well, you wouldn't. Until you find out why he's insane in the first place. Remember how he could always regenerate limbs? Well, ask yourself this. Do you really want to live forever? Albedo does not.
To be fair, Albedo already started out with a violent streak, viciously beating up others like him. However, he's only this violent since he believes that other people can regenerate like he can. Until his brother Rubido informs him that they can't. As soon as he finds out, Albedo freaks out. However, instead of being frightened, we feel sorry for him. I can't be the only person who got weepy seeing little kid Albedo hug his brother.
No! I don't want to be alone! Ah! If you die, I want to die too!
Imagine yourself, gifted with the ability to never die. Imagine seeing yourself every day in the mirror looking the exact same way. Imagine seeing everyone you know, everyone you love get old around you and eventually die. Well, Albedo begins thinking all of these thoughts at once. To say the least, these thoughts crush him.
See, Albedo may be messed up, but he's a character that has layers. Deep down, Albedo experiences the same emotions we all feel, and he can't bear to feel that he'll never see his friends or family again over time. These thoughts eventually deteriorate his mind and ultimately make him into the crazy that he's known for being. This change is emotionally jarring to not just Albedo, but to the player as well. Now ask yourself again, do you really want to live forever?
If the body did not die, and the fears born in the mind just continued to pile up, the world would be nothing more than an eternal prison.
You're giving me.
No, it really isn't sad anymore. Thank you, fanboys, for ruining this famous moment before most of us even played it. Now, what's actually number 3?
Did you ever know?
Not this one either. Way too cheesy. Next.
No! Tita sucks!
It's bizarre. As the Final Fantasy series got older, its character designs got clearer, but the personalities got increasingly more irritating. It's hard to feel sorry for any of these characters, which is why our next entry on the list is from the 16-bit era, specifically Final Fantasy VI.
Meet Celes. She's a general of the Gestalian Empire who turned traitor for undisclosed reasons. A Magitech-infused test subject of the Empire, Celes has been withheld from society until she is saved literally and figuratively by the charming thief, treasure hunter, Locke. They grow close and romance appears to start blooming between them. Unfortunately, Kefka stirs the seeds of doubt in Locke, causing tension between him and Celes. Then Kefka destroys the world. What a jerk.
Celes is left alone on an island with her surrogate father from the Empire, Cid. Unfortunately, Cid has become ill and eventually succumbs to illness. Alone, without Cid or Locke to live for, Celes decides that there's nothing left for her in this world, and throws herself off a cliff.
This is surprisingly graphic for something on a Nintendo console at the time. We see Celes lament the loss of those dear to her. We see her falling. We even see her cry while she falls. This is a disturbingly accurate portrait of suicide in a video game, made worse by the already distressing subject matter at hand. Of course, since this scene needs to have dramatic importance, Celes survives her fall. When she wakes up, she notices what appears to be Locke's bandana on the beach. This gives her hope to live on and find the man she loves. Little does she know that he'd be hiding out in an irritatingly massive cave that requires 2 parties to travel through. That's a depressing thought in itself.
In all seriousness, Saddest's suicide is this high for its shock value. Suicide in video games, attempts or otherwise, was unheard of before this. The absolute hopelessness and despair that Saddest is feeling is just heart-wrenching. If anything, this is more deserving of recognition than Aerith's death scene. Thankfully, its impact still exists because not everyone spoiled this moment like Aerith's death.
Note, we realize the hypocrisy of that statement due to our spoiling Saddest's suicide attempt. Don't say we didn't warn you earlier.
You're kidding me.
I would just like to warn you right now. Numbers 2 and 1 are entire games that are sad moments. And so I present the runner-up for the saddest moment in video game history, Metal Gear Solid 4. All of it. Let's start with the concept. You play as Snake, who you may notice is looking a little bit older from the original Metal Gear Solid. That would be because as a clone, he's beginning to degenerate. Even though he's an old man, he's brought on the mission anyways.
As you progress throughout the game, beloved characters from the rest of the series begin to spontaneously drop dead. Eva from Metal Gear Solid 3, who was revealed to be Snake's surrogate mother, dies in Snake's arms while trying to retrieve Big Boss's flaming corpse. Snake isn't the only one who experiences grief, however. Otacon forms a relationship with Naomi Hunter, who reveals 2 things in the Metal Gear universe. 1, she's haunted by all the wrong she's done. And 2, she has cancer and is essentially on life support. Overwhelmed by guilt, she puts herself off her nanomachines and dies right in front of Otacon. Jeez, does every girl Otacon likes have to die? And let's not forget the infamous microwave tunnel scene, where Snake endangers his own life crawling through a giant microwave in order to reach the Patriot Core. And even while this happens, his allies are also risking their lives in the battle against the Patriots.
However, even after Snake makes it through and saves the world, it still isn't over for him. It comes to light in this game that Snake is infected with a virus that could spread and cause a deadly epidemic. Snake has had a harsh life. He's been cursed with rapid aging. His job means he couldn't be with Meryl, who is now married. He can't have children. And now his genes are corrupted by a virus. And so Snake pulls out a gun and does the unthinkable. Except he doesn't go through with it.
After quickly pulling out the gun, Snake turns around to see an unexpected face. His father, Big Boss, very much alive. Big Boss arrives with a rifle, and Snake gets ready to fire at Big Boss as a result. However, Big Boss drops his gun and proceeds to hug Snake like a father would.
Let it go, my son.
After a lengthy bit of exposition about Big Boss's activities and how he's still alive, Big Boss says that the virus planted in Snake was overridden by another and won't cause a pandemic. Except it's going to kill Big Boss. Big Boss already begins to start feeling Fox Die's effects, and after attempting to shake hands with Snake, he collapses to the ground. In his last moments, Big Boss explains to Snake that since the decades-long war is finally over, he should no longer waste his life with violence and begin living as a man should.
The world would be better off without snakes.
He tries to light one final cigar, but has become too weakened to go through with it. Snake, as an act of forgiveness and finality, picks up Big Boss's cigar and lights it for him.
This is good, isn't it?
With these words, Big Boss passes on at last.
The entire debriefing of Metal Gear Solid 4 is my favorite scene in video game history. It's a well-written and emotionally intense scene with plenty of character resolution and incredible music to boot. Father and Son, in particular, is my favorite video game song of all time. I've literally written essays about how magnificent this whole scene is. A fact owed very much to House Saturdays. Supposedly, Hideo Kojima designed this game to be a massive tearjerker, and undoubtedly he succeeded. It is so well crafted and real that it immerses you in the game. When a character dies or when Snake experiences more suffering, we feel it. We know these characters. That is a sign that you've made a game for the ages. Solid Snake, here's to you.
However, this list isn't quite over yet.
This list is almost over now, so before we end this, let's recap.
Number 10, Gamma's death from Sonic Adventure.
Number 9, Lavitz's death from The Legend of Dragoon.
Number 8, Damus's death from Jak 3.
Number 7, the cafe romance from Majora's Mask.
Number 6, the final act of Shadow of the Colossus.
Number 5, the end of Super Paper Mario.
Number 4, Albedo's change.
Number 3, Celes' suicide attempt.
Number 2, Metal Gear Solid 4.
Simple and clean is the way that you're making me feel tonight.
Face it, you all knew it was going to come down to this somehow. The saddest moment in video game history is Mother 3. Yeah, you know, that quirky little underdog game with the cute, chuckle-worthy humor, colorful visuals, clever cultural references, quirky party members, horrendously evil villain, depressing soundtrack, and family-unfriendly deaths. Yeah, it's sad. It's really, really sad. And you know what? I knew pretty much most of the saddest moments in this game before I even played it, but even then, their impact hasn't in any way diminished.
The game begins with Lucas, Klaus, and their mother Hanawa visiting Hanawa's father Alex's house. Hanawa sends a long, sweet letter to her husband Flint as she's about to leave Alex's house for her home. Gee, Hanawa sounds really nice. It makes me care that they're about to go on a long trek home. Surely they wouldn't completely turn the tables on us by having her getting killed violently. Well, what the heck do you think? Yes, it's around this time that things go horribly wrong. Back in Tasmania Village, a wildfire's been started by a group of men wearing pig masks, and in the middle of all this havoc, Hanawa was brutally killed by the Mecha Drago. Goodness gracious alive! This is a freaking Nintendo game! If you didn't see this coming, this scene'll hurt!
When Flint discovers that Hanawa has been killed, he gets engulfed by despair and enters a terrifying blend of rage and sadness, taking it out on people all across town and getting sent to prison. This is an exceptionally accurate description of a response to grief, and the way it's handled adds tenfold pain to the already jarring death of Hanawa. And when we get to Hanawa's funeral, hoo boy, Lucas runs away, unable to comprehend that he has just lost his own mother. To make this worse, sunflowers, a recurring symbol in Mother 3 that represents Hanawa, become all the more common in this game, as if the game is actively trying to make Lucas and us cry. This is displayed at its saddest in Chapter 6, where Lucas sees Hanawa's ghost in a sunflower field.
But wait, there's more! During all the turmoil surrounding Hanawa's death, Klaus, Lucas's brother, has gone missing. It goes unnoticed for a while, until the very end of the game. A mysterious masked man has been on a quest for the Seven Needles just as Lucas is in the game, and after Porky's defeat, Lucas and the masked man meet in front of the last one. Lucas discovers that the masked man is in fact Klaus, who was killed, resurrected, and brainwashed by Porky to be a minion. Lucas and Klaus duel one-on-one, with Klaus clearly having the upper hand. That is until Hanawa's ghost brings Klaus back to his senses. As Klaus loses hope in this fight, Klaus very slowly realizes what he is doing and removes his mask. In the single saddest moment of Mother 3, Klaus remembers who he is and fires a bolt of lightning at Lucas's Franklin badge, reflecting the attack back at himself and dealing mortal damage. The moment of realization is sad enough, but you will cry when you think this. Klaus has just committed child suicide.
What makes this scene the saddest scene ever is how it's relayed to us. After the suicide attack, we see a psychological portrait of Lucas's reactions to this. He remembers Klaus based off sensory memory, and all of these wonderful things, these senses, will be lost forever. The last Lucas ever feels of Klaus is him cradling Klaus's corpse. It's a wonder Lucas had it in him to pull the final needle. Speaking of...
Wait a minute. All this adventure was just leading up to a cataclysm? After all Lucas has suffered, this is his reward. This is a freaking joke! Now everyone's gonna be crying through the credits too! The worst part is that the game ends ambiguously. On the end screen, if you try moving around, you'll be able to talk to characters in the game who are all invisible. They congratulate you on what you've accomplished, and they say they're alright, and yet we don't know exactly what happened to them. Unlike Metal Gear Solid 4, the depression you'll experience from this ending will probably last. Aside from the already depressing nature of the ending, the ambiguity of the ending will haunt you. With no word of a sequel, it's likely it'll stay this way.
Mother 3 is the saddest moment in video gaming history as a whole. It's shockingly sad due to this game's dark content in such a cheery looking game. It's stunningly realistic with how it handles loss. And that ending leaves you hanging with such an absurd amount of pent-up sadness. This game truly deserves all the hype it gets about the sheer, raw emotion it conveys in its story. Coming back to the notion I presented at the beginning of this top 10, this game is living proof that video games can be art. And yes, it is incredibly, incredibly sad. I'm the Autarch of Flame.
I'm the Fiery Joker.
And I need a freaking drink.
Oh hey, could you get me one?
Sure.
We'd love to, really, but the Fox censors won't allow it.